Welcome, Pewter Report readers and listeners and viewers, to the newest edition of the Pewter Report podcast. I'm Scott Reynolds. Alongside me is Mark Cook. Mark, we've got some big news today. The Buccaneers have finally added
quarterback.
Yeah, they finally have a quarterback that can actually participate in an offseason workout. If this team's going to participate in an offseason workout, which they're not. But I'm just saying, at least they have a guy now that could go out there and throw the ball around a little bit. Throw the ball out into the yard with the kids.
Not just that, Scott, but I mean, let's be honest. He may push Tom Brady for playing time. Let's just throw that out there.
We know this. Well, in the preseason, yes, I think he will. Okay, I think he'll probably see more snaps this year than Tom Brady under center.
Yes.
In August.
Maybe even July too, because even in training camp, who knows how Tom's going to be knee-wise. But he should be ready. He should be ready to go.
And of course, what we're talking about here is Griff is back. Ryan Griffin, QB3, is back.
Probably the most handsome man on the football team. I mean, him and Tom Brady, it would be a battle. But if Ryan's a pretty good-looking guy, I'm going to have to just admit that.
Blaine Gabbert too, man. I mean, it's like that quarterback room from top to bottom it's pretty stunner.
It's kind of like the Pewter Report room, me, you, and Grizz. I mean, don't say John and Matt, but me, you, and Grizz. We're the Brady, Griffins, and Gabberts of the reporting world.
Yeah, and maybe the interesting thing is I think Ryan Griffin's claim to fame this year, and the reason why we have him in the pregame warm up because he didn't see any snaps at all this year. Matter of fact, he didn't dress for a single game. So that's the only picture of Ryan Griffin we have this year. If you want to go back to the alarm clock uniform numbers, we can throw a game action photo in there for when he played a couple snaps against the Texans, the Colts. But otherwise, that's it for Griff. But he is back, and we'll see.
And sadly, Cam Brate has now been demoted to third string quarterback. Well, we were so excited because he was the second string. Now he's down to third string.
When Gabbert comes back, he'll be demoted even further. He'll be the fourth string quarterback and third string tight end. So
if Gabbert comes back,
I think he will. Little birdie too.
Oh, good. I like those little birdies. The little birdies said the same thing to me that, it's all about money at this point. And one of the things that this team has been faced with in some of the challenges, which makes it even more amazing that 14 of their unrestricted free agents they've now re-signed, is that when you win a Super Bowl, agents think everybody deserves a raise.
Yeah.
And even if you're the third string quarterback who didn't suit up last year, they think you deserve a raise. So anyway, lot of things to talk about, but happy to have Ryan Griffin back. Good guy, really solid guy. And you know what? When I grow up, Scott, I want to be Ryan Griffin. He made $1.6 million last year, and he never had to put on a uniform. That's the job I need. If anybody knows of one out there, I'll take it.
He's got to be pushing. Well, he's certainly over 5. He's got to be pushing 10 million at this point in terms of career earnings.
Oh, sure. 7 seasons in the league. Yeah. I didn't see. I was running errands and doing some ad stuff today. But did the terms come out? Do we know what the term was?
No, I believe it's league minimum. I believe that's what it is. But the terms have not been released yet. But the thing is, while we're talking about Blaine Gabbert, when you look at the quarterbacks, some of the backups, right? The backup money we're talking about, Marcus Mariota, he had to take a pay cut, but he's making $3.5 million in Las Vegas this year. Joe Flacco making $3.5 million for the Eagles as a backup. Jacoby Brissett making $5 million as a backup to the Dolphins. And you can go down that list. Jeff Driscoll for the Broncos, $2.5 million. Jordan Love, who has yet to see the field, right? Former first-round pick of the Packers, is making $3.9 million, actually $3.09 million. And then you get some other guys, like even Taylor Heineke, the Washington football team quarterback, who the Bucs faced in the playoffs, making $2.375 million. That's twice what Blaine Gabbert made last year, and I think that's why Blaine is holding out. He's seeing some of these backups that he's at least on par with, if not maybe even more talented than, making more money. And again, I'm sure he watched the Jason Light podcast when Jason was on with us fawning over Blaine Gabbert, suggesting he could be a possible heir apparent to Tom Brady, ruling nothing out. And, those words come with dollar signs a little bit.
Well, here's the message for you, Blaine. Take the hint. None of the other 31 teams are knocking down your door to give you that $2 million or $3 million. So,
and he beat you to the punch too. Griff beat you to the punch. So there's that. You got to go out there and get the money while the getting's good.
I think it's a subtle message sent, to be honest with you.
I think it is.
Look, this team knows, and really every team knows that if their star quarterback goes down, their season goes down. The Bucs are not going to the Super Bowl with Blaine Gabbert or Ryan Griffin or Cam Brady at quarterback next year. It's just not going to happen. So, it's again, I think I don't remember if it was the mailbag or my column last week, but the Jeff Hostettlers of the world that come in and win Super Bowls as backup quarterbacks, that hasn't happened since. What year was that? 1990, 91, something like that? I mean, put it to you this way.
Ago.
Tom Brady was only 12 years old the last time that happened. That tells you, and he's 100 years old now, so that tells you how long it's been.
Yeah.
If Brady goes down, the season's over. Can they make the playoffs with Blaine Gabbert? Absolutely, because they could make the playoffs with you at quarterback, Scott. At this point, there's so much talent around this.
Right on the shot.
You're going to just turn around and hand the ball off to Fournette. That's true. And Bernard and Ronald Jones, and maybe you can throw a screen pass.
That's a hell of a segue, because today we're actually talking about running backs. Today we talked about quarterbacks yesterday,
right,
on the show. John and I were talking about all of the quarterbacks, and listen, folks, don't rule out the Bucs still drafting a quarterback, right? Because just because Ryan Griffin's on this team now doesn't mean he will be come September, especially if the team drafts a quarterback. There'll be a competition, and if that quarterback is a day 3 guy, for example, like we were talking about Felipe Franks, the Bucs' best bet, it might be a case where Franks ends up being a practice squad quarterback, and Griffin is then on the roster as the number 3 QB this year. We're getting ahead of ourselves here, but what I've been told is don't rule anything out. Bringing Blaine Gabbert back is still a viable option. So is drafting a quarterback a viable option, even with the re-signing of Ryan Griffin. But the cool thing is, Mark, we're moving on from quarterbacks, and we're talking running backs today. We've had one running back, Javonte Williams from North Carolina, in our mock draft at the top pole position. That was our very first mock draft back in January. So we've got Matt Matera came out with the running back preview today on the website. We'll be talking about that at length. And in the meantime, though, Mark, I think it's only fair that we get this show revved up with our good friends over at Celsius. I'm drinking a peach vibe today. It's a vibey kind of day. What you got, my friend?
I got the sparkling orange. I'm an Orange Crush guy from the old days. So since I've moved on from sodas, this is as close as I can get. A little bit of a buzz to it, a little bit of a kick like you get with the caffeine, but you don't get that caffeine rush and that crash that you do. So Celsius, excellent stuff. Let's watch the video.
Let's do it. All right, so our good friends at Celsius, you've probably been to PeterReport.com, and if you haven't, what are you doing? Get over there. It's get the best Bucs coverage, especially about the draft. But you've probably seen their campaign on PeterReport.com. They want you to find out where you can get Celsius. Just give it a try. Just grab one can. Just pick a flavor. This happens to be the peach vibe that I'm crushing today. All right, it's moving up into my top 5 now. I like the orange that Mark has. If you haven't tried their flavors yet, go grab a can. You don't have to sit there and click on the banner ads, and they'll take you to Amazon where you can buy them in bulk. I say that every day because that's, if you like Celsius, that's how you get them shipped to your house. If you have Amazon Prime, it's free shipping, and boy, you save some money there. But they just want you to try one just to see if you like it. Pick a flavor. But if you're not sure where to get them, you can go to Celsius.com, click on the store locator, then type in your address. And all these locations will pop up: convenience stores, health and fitness stores, grocery stores, etc. and then you can find out where you can get them, and then go grab a couple cans, try a couple flavors, and see if you won't become a Celsius drinker like the Pewter Report staff, because I tell you what, you will. It's that good. And as Mark said, no sugar, no preservatives, so you get the energy rush without the crash. That's the best part about Celsius, Mark.
Yeah, it's good stuff, and we're really happy to have them on board as our title sponsor. John Miles, somebody tweeted yesterday, I believe it was John Miles. He found it up in West Virginia somewhere. He was excited. Yeah. Last week when I did the podcast solo, somebody in the chat on our YouTube channel asked where they can get Celsius. Apparently they don't listen to the podcast because we always tell them. But if somebody just wants Celsius, the easiest place, I guess, would be just go to Amazon. But click on the banners on our website. We'll direct you there. We can find you some Celsius. And Scott, I'm just going to go out on a limb now. If they don't like Celsius, you'll give them their money back.
Well, since they won't be making the purchase through Scott Reynolds, I really can't do that.
Okay. I'll tell you what, if they come to my house and drink a Celsius and they don't like it, they can pour it down my sink, or just I'll finish it off for them. It's good stuff, though. They'll like it. Yep. So
let's talk a little running backs here. So Charlie Abrams, appreciate you being in the chat and on the Pewter Report podcast quite a bit, Charlie. If we could trade down with the Jets and scrape up those 2 second-round picks, Javonte Williams, Peyton Turner, and Quinn Miners in round 2, I would love that, because I'll tell you what, I'm scared to death that Javonte Williams will end up going to the Falcons near the top of the second round. If he's not in Tampa, I don't want to see that guy anywhere in the NFC South. So
neither does Todd Bowles. Neither does Todd Bowles and Levante David and Devin White. I mean, this guy is a tackle breaking machine, right? I think he led the NCAA last year in yards after contact. I mean, he just doesn't go down. He catches the ball well. I mean, and I hate to bring this up, Miami Hurricane fans, but all you need to do is go watch that Miami game last year, and you'll just see he and his teammate who just absolutely destroyed the Hurricanes in that game.
Yeah. I mean, he is a physical guy that will run you over. He's not the fleetest of foot, Mark, but the guy he reminds me an awful lot of was one of my draft crushes back in 2017, and a guy the Bucs were considering in 2017 in the 3rd round. Should they draft Chris Godwin out of Penn State? Should they draft Kareem Hunt out of Toledo? That was the moves they were weighing right there in the war room at that time. They wound up going with Chris Godwin. That's been the right play over the long haul. But I will say one thing, Mark, when you look at Kareem Hunt, I think he was the rookie of the year. He's a Pro Bowler his first year. Obviously ran into some trouble with the law, but has restarted and revived his career in Cleveland as a 1-2 punch with Nick Chubb, and he's a sensational running back. So I'm a big believer that those big backs, you don't have to be terribly fast, but you got to be able to break tackles at this level. And we saw that with Ronald Jones, who does have some speed, right? But when he came out of USC, he was 205 pounds. And I think that was part of the reason why he didn't have a successful rookie season, Mark, is because he had to add some more of that muscle and bulk so he could break tackles. And now look what we've seen in year 2 and year 3 from Ronald Jones. The guy can break tackles, hit the spin button on the PlayStation controller, and he's got the ability to get out of tackles. And you're not going to break off.
And he's got enough speed, Scott, because we saw him do that against Carolina this year. Now, granted, they were, I don't remember what down it was, but they were, they had the box loaded up. And that's, we remember Tony Dorsett in that game against the Vikings. Well, you might not, because you're, considerably younger than me, 2 years.
No, I'm not.
But that Monday Night Football game when Dorsett set an NFL record with a 99-yard run. When you see 90-yard runs and 89-yard runs, it's usually when teams are trying to stop somebody on 3rd and 1 or 4th and 1 or something to get the ball back at the end of the game. But Ronald Jones has got some deceptive speed, but he, you're absolutely right. His ability to break tackles is just tremendous. Another guy that wasn't a speedy guy but broke a lot of damn tackles in Tampa Bay was Legarrette Blount. I'm not comparing the two by any stretch. They're different running backs, but at the same time, again, he was very successful when he was here in Tampa, when he went on to New England, Philadelphia, then back to New England, got some Super Bowl rings, I think 2 of them. Again, a guy that's not super fast. You don't see a lot of 80, 75-yard runs anymore in the NFL. I mean, defenses are just so good. And so you just need that second gear once you break past the first level. to bounce it around some linebackers, and his safeties are too good in the NFL these days to really see a lot of long runs. But Williams is a guy that's got enough burst, man. If he can get past the line of scrimmage where he's going to get you a first down, and if it's 8 or 9 yards at a time, that's okay. Nobody's going to complain about that.
Well, and I think the thing too is when you look at players like Javonte Williams that are multi-purpose weapons, that they've got the tackle breaking ability. They can carry the ball, carry the load. They can also catch the ball. And let's really start at the top. Because when I had Javonte Williams in there with the first pick for the Buccaneers, the number 32, the premise was that Travis Etienne from Clemson and Alabama's Najee Harris were off the board. And if you look at mocks, and of course mocks this year are all over the place, Mark, you'll see drafts, mock drafts where that's true, where both those guys are gone or one of those guys is gone. And sometimes you see where none of those guys have been selected yet, and they're in the second round. It's crazy to think, but when you look at a player like Travis Etienne from Clemson, right? This is a guy that I think would be the ideal dream pick for the Buccaneers, because you talk about a guy that can catch the ball out of the backfield. 102 career receptions for 1,155 yards, 11.3 yard average, and 8 touchdowns. Okay, that I don't think that there's been a running back that's come out with a receiving type of production paired with the type of rushing production that Etienne has had in a long time. I mean, there's not a lot of there's wide receivers, Mark, in this year's draft that don't have 102 career catches for over 1,000 yards. That's just a fact. Then you factor in that he had 1,600-yard seasons back-to-back as a sophomore and a junior, and he's totaled 70 touchdowns on the ground, averaging 7.2 yards per carry, just under 5,000 yards in his rushing career. But I think that is the appeal right there. If you're watching this on YouTube or on Twitter or Facebook, the guy can catch the ball. And in this offense, that's the thing that's been missing. And yes, Giovanni Bernard brings that to the table. But Mark, Giovanni Bernard, Leonard Fournette, Ronald Jones, they're all under contract this year, but not next year.
Yeah, they've got to address the running back position, I believe, in this draft. And the earlier the better. I'm not, saying they have to do it with that 32nd pick. Certainly not saying that they need to move up to do that, but there's some guys, and they're going to have some options. If they decide to go running back with 32, there's going to be some options there, whether it is Javonte Williams or maybe Najee Harris. And I forget, Jason Light corrected me the other night, by the way, at the Arians thing. It's Najee. He was on a call. He was on a call, and Jason said that he said, all right, thanks, Najee. And he's like, hey, who the hell called me Najee? It's Najee. So, and Jason said he kind of ducked down. He's like, it wasn't me, but it was him. So he made sure we say it the right way. I don't know that he's going to be there either. This is the crazy thing, Scott. We talk about how the NFL has changed. 20 years ago, Travis Etienne, Najee Harris, Javonte Williams, these guys are all bona fide first-round draft picks because of the emphasis on the running game back in the day. I mean, you can go back to that, has it been 20 years since Cadillac Williams was drafted? But go back to that draft, Scott, and name the top 5.
2005.
Give me the top 5 in that year.
It starts with Ronnie Brown. He was the first overall pick out of Auburn, and he went to Miami. Then I believe at number 4, you had Cedric Benson from Texas to the Chicago Bears. And then John Gruden was doing backflips in the war room with his guy.
3.
Don't call him Carnell.
Right.
Call him Cadillac. Cadillac Williams was the Bucs pick. He was the 3rd running back taken that year at number 5.
Yeah.
It's terrible value.
That will never, I don't know that ever will happen again in the NFL where you see 3 running backs going. I'm just going to go out on a limb now and say there's no way in hell it ever happens again. Just because of the way that the NFL has evolved with the passing game and the rules that favor the offense and things like that. And, but I mean, again, 10, 15 years ago, all of these guys are top 15 guys, probably. They're that talented. I would hate to be a kid growing up as a running back now, because when you make it the NFL, you're not going to make the money that you thought. And here's another thing. Teams tend to get rid of you after that first contract.
That's right, and that's what they should do, and that's why I'm advocating for the Bucs to draft a running back, and I'm fine with them drafting one even in the first round. I know that's sacrilege, but again, folks, this is pick number 32. This is essentially a second-round pick.
It's a second-round pick. That's the way you got to look at it.
But the bonus is you get the fifth-year option, so you're getting a guy not just on a rookie deal, but a fifth-year deal. So let's say you get Javonte Williams, and he's 21 years old. By the time he's 26 and had 5 years of NFL wear and tear, you move on from him, just like you should move on from Ronald Jones, and you have that conveyor belt going. Seattle's one of the best running teams over the last decade. The reason why is because they don't pay running backs; they draft them. Mm-hmm. Seattle's drafted more running backs in the last decade than any team, and it's not even close. They've even drafted 2 running backs in the same year, some years, and that's good because sometimes you miss, Mark. I mean, I love Rashad Penny coming out of San Diego State. They drafted him in the first round, and he's been banged up and not nearly the player that 7th-round pick Chris Carson out of Oklahoma State was. Right. So that just goes to show you, just because you draft a running back doesn't mean you're going to hit on the guy. And we don't know if Keyshawn Vaughn is going to be anything more than a complimentary back, or if he's going to be a guy that will make a quantum leap like Ronald Jones did from year 1 to year 2 and really prove us wrong. But, it didn't look good for Rojo, a 2nd-round pick as a rookie, before he finally put on some size and broke some tackles.
Scott, I've never been ready to give up on a player after one season as I was with Ronald Jones.
Me too.
I don't know that I have seen a more disappointing year really from a running back who, and again, there'll be people that argue this, but I tend to think running back is probably one of the easier positions to transfer from college football to the NFL. We remember Greg Schiano, and I've mentioned it on this podcast before, who said, other than quarterback, cornerback is the toughest position to go from college to the NFL, whether you believe Greg or not. But I believe running back is one of the easiest. And Ronald Jones was just lost. And I knew that because, Scott, I had him in the rookie training camp diary thing that we do. Mm-hmm. And after about a week and a half of training camp, you could just tell this guy his head was spinning. He was just lost. He was 20 years old too. Let's not forget that, coming from the West Coast to the East Coast. It was a big transition in his life. He had no idea what he was doing, but I was never more ready to give up on a guy than I was him, because he just had a dismal year. So as bad as Keyshawn Vaughn was last year, I'm going to remember my judgment of Ronald Jones and certainly give him the benefit of the doubt in the second year.
Yeah. Let's get to some questions here, and we'll talk more about Najee Harris and Travis Etienne and Javonte Williams. Those are the 3 top backs, and we'll kind of dig a little bit deeper into this. But
Najee
Harris.
Yeah.
Long lost French. I will do that. We have Travis Etienne and Najee Harris and Javonte Williams. We'll make all these guys sound French.
Yes.
What happened to running back Chris Evans from Michigan? Was it just academic issues? Can Brady take a young Wolverine under his tutelage as a late-round pick? I'm not that enamored with Chris Evans, which means the Bucs will probably draft him, because every running back I have not really cared for, and I wasn't a huge Ronald Jones fan at USC, nor was I a Jeremy McNichols fan at Boise State. God,
and you were not a Keyshawn Vaughn fan at Vandy.
I was not a Keyshawn Vaughn fan. And for the record, I was not a Cadillac Williams fan at Auburn either. Ruined my birthday. I spent in 2005 that was the first night of the draft. And that's the birthday present I got. So thank you very much. Now, I will say last year's birthday present, because usually the draft is the last week of April. Every once in a blue moon, they push it up. And last year, I had to work on my birthday as well, but I got Travis Wirfs. So I was much happier with that gift.
Tristan, not Travis. Williams. Yes.
What did I say? Travis Wirfs?
Yeah, that's all right. He's Travis.
Yeah. Sorry, Tristan Wirfs. Tristan Wirfs, yes. Yes, he had academic issues, but I don't see enough there to really warrant taking a flyer on him unless it's like a 6th or 7th round selection. I mean, I think he's day 3 destined to begin with, but 4.51 speed, not a terribly productive running back in college. And then, 5'11".
That was just a bad offense that Harbaugh has been running for the last few years up in Michigan, though. My God, with Shea Patterson at quarterback, and then thank God he finally graduated, and they had another quarterback last year. I can't think of his name.
Right.
It was a little bit, but actually they went back and forth with quarterbacks during the season last year, but that was just a bad offense. I don't want anybody offensively from Michigan. I just don't. Maybe an offensive lineman down the road somewhere, but not any of the skill positions, not at all.
Brad says, I've been following Scott Reynolds' draft takes on the Bucs since the late 90s. It's crazy how often he is close or actually nailed picks we've taken. Look it up. He's the best at it. He's obviously close enough to the squad that he has a pulse of what they're looking for. Keep up the great work, Scott. Sometimes it's simply an educated guess. I mean,
no, Scott, let's face it.
I do get some intel.
I've snuck you into the war room a few times. We put on our black ninja uniforms. We've scaled down the roof with a grappling hook and everything, and we've taken pictures with microscopic cameras. That's not true. None of that thing. The Glazers, if you're listening to this, that's just not true. We've never broken into the building. It seems like it sometimes because you're pretty damn good. I'm not going to lie. I saw this question. I was like, Scott's definitely going to put this one up. If you didn't, I was going to because I can't disagree though.
It's the staff. I mean, it's
you. It's you.
No, I mean.
It's pretty much you.
It used to be just me.
I mean,
more people.
I was gonna say that you were the draft guy all those years, and you had Jim Flynn that did a pretty good job, and Charlie was really in tune with the draft as well. Yep. Charlie did a really good job. He's a big Matt Nagy fan, but no, you work your ass off on the draft, man, and I'm glad because I'm a guy that loves free agency. I'm a guy that loves the in-season stuff. You're a
pro football guy.
I'm a pro football guy. Although I love watching my Seminoles, I'm not going to tape 6 games on Saturday like you do and put them on your DVR to go back and watch. And I know that you do that from time to time.
Spoiler alert, Mark. We've got a Bucs best bet at wide receiver coming up that you might like tomorrow, and our wide receiver preview.
Please no. Please say it's the not Scary Terry.
Yeah, it's Scary Terry. Yeah.
As a late round,
as the day 3 Bucs best bet. Yeah, he's a freakish size, speed. Yes, he's not a precise route runner. He'll drop some balls, but the yards after catch,
poorly coached. I can't.
And who's throwing him the ball? That's the thing.
That's it. And that's the thing that people say. Who's your FSU draft crush this year? I don't have one. Not Marvin Wilson.
He's pretty good.
Scary Terry. Not Janoris Robinson.
He's a pretty good wide receiver. 6'2". He's a freak athlete. There's no doubt about it, and he can run really fast for his size. But he's so poorly coached. Everybody the last 3 years has just been really poorly coached, in my opinion. So it's really hard to tell, who's going to end up being a decent Seminole, if any, out of this class. Right.
But maybe.
Well, Brad, I appreciate the props. I will say this: some years it's like I said, it's kind of luck. We got to put somebody in there. Sometimes we just hit. I'm trying to think of. Mike Lennon was one that really wasn't luck. Torrey Cox from Pittsburgh, 6th round pick. We only nailed one Bucs best bet that year, and it was the Bucs last pick, and we nailed that one. Although I think Mike Tomlin might have given me a heads up about that. But you
had Danny Vitale all the way, Scott. Let's just face it. You had Danny Vitale. Yeah. That's crazy.
And also too, we've had the rare doubleheader. We've done really well at quarterback. We had Josh Freeman, which is kind of an easy one. Jameis Winston, super easy.
Mike Lennon.
Jameson. We had Mike Lennon. We go back to Joey Hamilton. We had Joey Hamilton.
Yeah.
7th round pick out of Georgia Tech. Tony Dungy gave me that one. We had
you
Sean
had Doug
King.
Williams. You had Doug Williams in 78.
I did not have Doug Williams.
No. Maybe that was me. Sorry.
That might have been you. Yeah. But yeah, we done pretty well. We actually had Bruce Gradkowski out of Toledo too as a day 3 Bucs best bet. So we've done really well at the quarterback position. This
might
year,
be my least favorite Buccaneer quarterback ever, Bruce Gradkowski. I don't know why. I couldn't stand that guy. It was also during a time when the Buccaneers were just really bad. It was one of those transition couple years where John Gruden goes from winning the division to finishing 4-12.
And it's like 5-11 or 11-5. Feast or famine with Gruden.
Yeah, Gradkowski. I will say this about Brad. He started a game. I took my son to his very first game, 2006-ish maybe. They beat the Cincinnati Bengals at Raymond James. And so Michael Clayton got in the last minute on a touchdown, stretched out, scored the touchdown. But anyway, I don't know why. That's the only good memory I have of Brad Gradkowski, besides that bald head.
Yeah, sometimes we get fortunate. I think one of the more impressive things we've done at Pewter Report with our Bucs Best Bets was we actually had a doubleheader in 2010, I believe. We nailed, and sometimes we have three Bucs Best Bets in the same year, which is really good. But we actually nailed both wide receivers. We had Aurelius Ben as the early guy at wide receiver and Mike Williams as the late guy. So that really made the day when that happened. That was pretty cool. Brad says, cool. I love Etienne at that spot. It'd be one of those picks the rest of the league would be like, are you kidding me? We let them get him. Listen, if Travis Etienne's there at 32, I have no problem with the Bucs picking a running back at 32, whether it's with Najee Harris, Travis Etienne, Javonte Williams. I'm not sure we're going to go with the running back in our final mock, but I would not be opposed to those guys there. Actually, this is who we have. Let's just kind of cut to the chase a little bit here for the Bucs Best Bets. We have a couple of running backs. It's not Javonte Williams, although we like him. The problem is I could see them going, and I'm kind of with John on this. I think the Bucs will go with a different position other than running back. But another guy that is really good is Michael Carter, his teammate at the University of North Carolina. Matter of fact, Michael Carter was actually the leading rusher for the Tar Heels. And when you look at his production, he's a smallish guy. He's under 5'8". He's 5'7" and 7/8, 201 pounds. He's not the biggest guy in the world, but Mark, 1,245 yards rushing.
Yeah.
As a whale of a game as Javonte Williams had against Miami last year. He wasn't the leading rusher in that game. It was actually Michael Carter, 24 carries, 308 yards, a 12.8 yard average, and 2 touchdowns. So this is a player that again can really catch the ball out of the backfield. He has had no fewer than 21 catches in each of the last 3 seasons. He's got 82 career catches for 656 yards, averaging 8 yards a carry, 6 touchdowns, and he's averaged 6.6 yards per carry as a running back with back-to-back 1,000-yard games and 22 touchdowns. Obviously, they used the bigger body Javonte Williams around the goal line, but this is a player that has got great vision, that he can be a factor on third downs. Both of those guys, Williams and Carter, are excellent on third downs in pass protection and also catching the ball out of the backfield. And the interesting thing is, they just got this guy, Mark, Giovanni Bernard, right? They just signed Gio. And the thing about Bernard is he came from North Carolina, right? So he's a player that I think could be a great mentor, because I see a lot of Giovanni Bernard in Michael Carter. So I think he's a little bit more of a talented runner than Giovanni was. Giovanni was more positioned as that third down back in Cincinnati. But I mean, you talk about a great mentor. I think Michael Carter is one of those guys that looks up to Giovanni Bernard, a former Carolina Tar Heel himself.
Yeah, I there's definitely a relationship there. They're going to look up to these guys, and you make a good point. Both of those North Carolina running backs would be great additions to this football team. Javonte, obviously a little bit more the complete back, but any of those guys would be good. The question coming from James Moore, and I'll let you answer this, which John was on too, because he pays more attention to this than I do. But which of the top 3 backs are the best in pass protection? And does anybody stand out, or are they all kind of about the same?
I think when you look at the pass protection, Javonte Williams is really top notch. And I think so often with Etienne and Harris, they were deployed out in routes. And with those offenses being pretty wide open, and Carolina's was too, but really those players were often used as receivers out of the backfield. And with a guy like Etienne, there were times where he was split out wide, that he would run wheel routes down the sidelines, really deeper routes, not just the flare passes out in the screen or those little Texas angle routes. We're talking about legitimate routes down the middle of the field. And Javonte was deployed in that way too. And that's why any of those 3 running backs, I would not have a problem with the Bucs taking, because I think all 3 have the size to be very good pass protectors. But I think right now Javonte Williams has some real polish. And you know what? I wouldn't be shocked if Javonte Williams is drafted ahead of one of those 2 running backs. That wouldn't surprise me either. I mean, I'm just saying, remember when Edgerrin James was picked ahead of Ricky Williams?
Yeah.
right? I mean, that was a shocker. I think I have my years and my backs correct, but that was a bit of a shock. But listen, the draft is the beauty is in the eye of the beholder, and different strokes for different folks. Some teams, especially this year, it's going to be wild. Like I asked John, I'll ask you the same thing. I mean, is Mac Jones the third best player in this draft? Of course he's not.
No.
There's no way. I mean, is Zach Wilson the second best player in this draft? No. But those teams need quarterbacks, and so that's how they're going to go. I mean, I think Kyle Pitts is better than both of those guys as a pure football player, but
sure,
his position is not as important as quarterback. So that's why those guys are going to go. And I expect Etienne to be the first one off the board. He's the fastest running back. I think Najee Harris is probably just as NFL ready as Etienne, and I think Williams is probably the third guy, but you never know.
Scott, let's talk about pass protection. But you know what? Let's not even talk about pass protection. Let's talk about insurance
just overall protection.
Yeah, overall protection. And the great thing about Briar Greaves, who we're trying to talk about here, is the fact that they're complete a third down back, a first down back, a second down back, meaning homeowners, life insurance, commercial insurance, any type of insurance you need, Scott, Briar Greaves can handle it for you. We know that because both of you and I are Briar Greaves customers.
That's right. That's a fact.
But I don't understand why everybody that's listening to this hasn't called Briar Greaves. They can write insurance nearly all over. They're licensed in other states. And there's not anybody listening to this that doesn't need some sort of insurance. And right now is the time to make sure you're covered for hurricane season. It's right around the corner, folks. We're talking another month and a half, and it's going to be full on hurricane season here in Florida.
All right, Mark, I get a question for you here.
Go ahead.
How much does Briar Greaves charge? Like, let's say I go with a different insurance company, and I've got my policy, my homeowner's policy. Right. How much does Briar charge just to take a look at my policy to see if he can save me some money, or if I'm properly insured? How much does that cost?
Scott, you're going to be shocked to hear this. Okay. 0.0. They don't charge you anything. 0.0, not a penny out of your pocket. And here's the great thing, Scott. Not only do they not charge you to take a look and compare these things, whether it's your homeowners, whether it's your automobile, whether it's your commercial, whether it's your life, they may save you money. Right. Briar Greaves saved a company, I believe it was in Texas recently, over $15,000 on their annual commercial fleet policy. Now, most of us don't have commercial fleet vehicles roaming the roads, so we're not going to save $15,000. But Scott, if I could tell you, you're going to save, I don't know, $600 on your homeowner's insurance or $500 on your auto insurance, you're all in. Every penny counts today. I would definitely do it. Think of it like this, Scott. If Briar Greaves saves you $600, it's like an extra stimulus check. You got to think of it like that. Nobody wants to take the time to do it. Here's the deal with homeowners, Scott. You and I know this. It's included in our mortgage, right? In the escrow. We don't think about it. It's the mortgage company just adjusts it every year. But you got to pay attention. If you notice your homeowner's payment going up $20, $30 every month, 99.9% of the time, it's not your property tax, it's your homeowner's insurance rates going up. Right. So it'll creep up on you. In a matter of a couple years, you may be spending $300 or $400, $500 more than you were a couple years back. So let Briar Greaves take a look at it. Give them a call, 813-876-4166, 813-876-4166. Call Sam. Call Briar. Tell them your Pewter Report listeners. They will take care of you. They're huge Buccaneer fans. They're season ticket holders. And at the very worst, they're going to say, you're in good shape where you're at. We can't help you out. Let's talk some Buccaneer football. So it's a win-win either way.
Yep. BriarGreavesInsurance.com. Make sure you check them out. We appreciate their support as always. We've talked about our Bucs best bet, Michael Carter, and I think that he would be a possible selection in the third round, maybe the second, if they really like him. We know Jason Light is he's not opposed to overdrafting a running back. He's done that with Keyshawn Vaughn in the third round last year. I thought Vaughn was a fourth rounder. But
sometimes guys just go and teams get a little desperate. You know, they know they need a guy. They saw this happen a few years ago when I don't know if it was Kamara, Marlon Mack, Kareem Hunt. There was one year where there was like
2017, right?
You know,
they waited too long. And Marlon Mack was off the board. Then they got stuck with Jeremy McNichols, who Dirk Cutter was fine with because he's a Boise State guy, but he's a lousy running back. Didn't even make the team.
Terrible.
That was the hard knocks
year. Yeah,
where he was given the hard knocks for sure. Mm-hmm. So the other running back that we have the Bucs taking to always do an early and a late Bucs best bet is a guy that that I'm familiar with, being a Big 12 guy, is Chuba Hubbard. Chuba is a player that really saw his draft stock just go through the roof in 2019. And there was some talk he might even come out. He wanted to stay in after rushing for 2,094 yards and 21 touchdowns and averaging 6.4 yards per carry. The problem is last year in the COVID-shortened season, he missed 4 games due to injury. And when he was healthy, he wasn't as productive as he was as a sophomore. So his junior season, played in 7 games, 133 carries, 625 yards. That's a 4.7 yard average, 5 touchdowns. Now, the thing about Hubbard is he does have some kick return ability. He did that as a freshman, averaged 22 yards per return. So he can bring that to the table, but he's also a pretty decent receiver. Had 22 catches as a freshman, 23 catches as a sophomore, caught 3 touchdown passes, averaged 9 yards a catch, just under 500 yards for his career. So he's probably a day 3 guy. Reminds me a lot. Remember the running back from the Minnesota Vikings, Robert Smith, kind of that upright sprinter style. He reminds me of a poor man's Robert Smith. Now, Robert Smith was I think, a better player coming out of Ohio State.
Dr. Robert Smith to
that's
you
correct.
and I, Scott.
Surgeon.
Yes. Yes.
But Chuba Hubbard is a player that really has that instant acceleration. I mean, instant. We're not even talking about Ronald Jones acceleration, where he's got some jets and he can get through the line of scrimmage. But this guy's acceleration is just different. And when John and I were looking at these Bucs best bets, we were considering 2 players, really, maybe 3, on day 3. And one of them was Hubbard, and we went with him. The other guy was Khalil Herbert from Virginia Tech. And the reason why he got some consideration is because he had a pretty good year. He can catch the ball. He can return kicks. He had a 99-yard kickoff return for a touchdown against Duke. He's got some of that make you miss. His running back style is a little bit like Michael Carter, where he's got really good vision in the open field. And he's a Hokie. And so Bruce Arians being a
Bruce
Hokie.
Arians love that guy.
Exactly. And if you don't think that plays a role, I mean, in 2019, Bruce Arians and Jason Light told each other that they were going to draft a Nebraska Cornhusker for Jason because his dad, who passed away, Ron Light, they were going to draft a Cornhusker in the draft. And it turned out being the 6th round pick, Khalil Davis, the defensive tackle. And they were also going to draft the Temple guy for Bruce Arians. It turned out to be Chappelle Russell, the linebacker from Temple, in the 7th round. So if you don't think some of these little quirky things happen and dictate draft decisions, they do.
Especially late in the draft, when everything's a roll of the dice at that point. You know, you can make these quirky picks from time to time. I wonder if maybe the Buccaneers will feel sorry for Taylor Jenkins and draft somebody from USF late. No,
they might.
Probably not.
Probably not.
Scott, let me ask you this. Here's a quick trivia question for you.
Mm-hmm.
Kansas State or USF, the last time the Buccaneers drafted a player from either one of those schools, who has been the most recent school to be drafted of those 2?
I think it's Kansas State. I don't think they've drafted a bull.
I'm trying to remember if I don't think they've ever drafted. They've had a couple USF bulls on the team.
Yeah.
I mean, they got one drafted one, Jason Pierre-Paul, who's pretty damn good.
But they've never drafted one.
I don't think they've ever drafted one. They had Mike Jenkins for a while, right? Wasn't he a USF guy?
Yeah. I believe. I think Tampa Bay has drafted 1, 2, 3. They've drafted 5 Wildcats. 5. They drafted Roderick Green and Elijah Alexander back in 1994, I believe, 93 or 94. Because I knew those guys at college, especially Roderick Green. When I worked at Sports Information and Wildcat Weekly.
And at Chess King.
Well, that was in Overland Park. That was not in Manhattan.
Oh, okay, sorry.
But those 2 guys were, I believe, the first 2, and they were drafted in the same draft. And then then Martin Gramatica was a 3rd round pick in 1999. Yeah. And then Darnell McDonald, a wide receiver from Kansas State, was the 7th round pick, same year as Gramatica was drafted. And then Josh Freeman, unfortunately. And
Martin Gramatica ended up being the best Wildcat out of all of them.
No doubt.
Yeah. And Buccaneers have drafted a number of Florida State guys. There's a pretty decent one they drafted, number 55. I think his name's up on the wall somewhere at the stadium. I can't remember. Derek Brooks 55. Or somebody. Yeah, Derek double
Derek
nickel.
Brooks, that's right.
Derek,
double nickel. Yeah. DB 55.
Not Demetrius Dubose, Derek Brooks. Yeah.
Yeah. Long left leisure. Is the narrative around Chuba opting out after the season started, then shutting it down on your team just to play it safe for your draft stock? Not really, because he was injured. He actually played. He played 7 games last year. Just had some injuries that limited his effectiveness. And the interesting thing is as you do mention, he's a Canadian. So I think Ian Beckles, I was just on the show on WDA yesterday with Ian Beckles, otherwise known as Canadian Bacon, former guard for the Buccaneers, would love to see another Canadian come down and join the
especially with Anthony Auclair gone to Houston now. There's no more
there's an
great white North guys
for a Canadian. Yeah. So the great thing about Anthony Auclair, and again, okay, so we talk about things like Jason Light and Bruce Arians agreeing to draft guys, right? Sometimes other factors factor into this. One of the things that Jason Light liked about Anthony Auclair, aside from the fact that he had a pretty good East-West Shrine game as a Canadian player and could block and was a big target in the passing game, although they didn't throw him the ball, was the fact that his dad drove a Labatt's Blue truck up in Canada. And the cool thing about that is I've actually become a Labatt's Blue drinker because of Anthony.
Did Jason ever get like a couple cases sent down? Did we ever find out? Did we ever follow up on that story? Did Mr. Auclair Sr. drive the truck all the way from Canada down and drop it off at Jason's front lawn? I don't know.
Maybe
find out.
Yeah, that might have been in the negotiations, or we'll have to ask Mike Greenberg or Jason about that.
I wrote about. Well, let me tell you my favorite Anthony Auclair real quick. I wrote about it in last week's Hook column. My favorite, I love the guy. Super nice guy.
He's a fantastic guy. Yeah,
fantastic guy. Anytime we needed anything charity wise at bowling events, even our bowling league, he participated 2 years. Great guy. But I remember his rookie year, we were somewhere. I won't say where we were. But he's like in that smooth accent. Hey, Anthony, again, he's a good looking guy. Look, I can say, I don't mind saying other guys are good looking, whatever. So he's a good looking guy and a professional athlete and, got that French accent, French Canadian accent. And anyway, he saw a young lady. This is when he was a single guy, by the way.
It's very cool, Mark. It's very cool.
He's like,
actually, it's not cool. It's very hot down here.
Do you know who she is? I was like, I know her. She goes, maybe you could ask her to go out with me. I said, what? What? You are a professional athlete. Look at me. Look at you. You really need me to procure your dates? Come on, man. Have a little confidence in yourself.
He wanted you as his American wingman, Mark. It's a badge of honor.
I mean, I said, if she's got a sister, okay, I'll do it. But she didn't have a sister. And as far as I know, they never dated. And Anthony's very happy with his girlfriend / fiance now. But it just, that still just blows my mind. It's the little things that happen in I was going to say open locker room, but that would be inappropriate. Little things that happen during the course of a season, Scott, that you remember these little funny stories.
No doubt. So we've talked about a lot of the running backs here. Let's see if there's any more running backs worth talking about. We talked about Najee Harris, Travis Etienne, Javonte Williams. I think all three of those guys would be good fits for the Bucs. Michael Carter was our early Bucs bet. One guy we didn't mention, but I think would be another good fit is Kenneth Gainwell out of Memphis. The thing with Gainwell is he only played 1 year. That was 2019. That was his freshman year. And when you look at what he was able to accomplish in just 1 year, well, it was pretty special. This is a player that rushed for 1,400 yards plus and had over 600 yards receiving, 1,459 yards, 610 yards receiving. Mark, as a freshman, a redshirt freshman, he totaled 2,000 yards for Memphis. And by the way, this team can put out some good running backs. I don't know if you've heard of some of these running backs. Antonio Gibson was a player the Bucs liked last year. They were weighing taking him in the second round or taking Antoine Winfield Jr. They obviously went with the safety, but they really loved Gibson as well. Tony Pollard is a player that they liked coming out. Darrell Henderson was another player that I liked and the team liked as well. So that Memphis, that's become kind of like running back now. Mm-hmm. And this is the latest guy. He's not the biggest back. And I think that that this offseason he was able to add some weight because his listed size was 5'10", 190 at Memphis. But he took a year off because of COVID. He's got a brother who had a stroke and who's got some health issues, and he did not want to put him in jeopardy by having to
expose
go
him
to
to
campus,
COVID.
expose him to COVID during the trips home, etc. So Gainwell opted out for the year. He measured 5'8", 201, so he got his weight up a little bit. And he runs a 4.44. That's a pretty decent speed. But, we talk about Travis Etienne having good hands. This guy might have the best hands. Etienne's a hell of a receiver. This guy might be slightly better because he can play in the slot. I mean, his hands are that good. He had 51 catches for 610 yards. That's a 12.0 average with 3 touchdowns in 2019. So he's a tremendous player. I think he would be probably a 3rd-round pick for the Bucs. Although if they really love him, they'd have to get him in the 2nd because I think he's going to be gone early part of the 3rd round. But he's another player that I think fits on that wish list for the Buccaneers. And there's a couple other guys, Trey Sermon, Ramondre Stevenson, that are okay players. I think they're probably not what the Bucs are looking for, and I'll watch them draft them, and I'll be proven wrong. But then I think it really kind of drops off. The other guy on day 3 that I would take a flyer on would be Elijah Mitchell. They drafted Raymond Calais out of Louisiana. They were the Raging Cajuns, and this was a guy that was in the mix along with Trey Rivas and Raymond Calais was Elijah Mitchell. The thing with him is he's 5'10", 201, and he ran a 4.33, and that's got everybody a buzz. But if you go watch the tape, I don't see the speed. I don't see the 4.33 speed there. And you look at his tape, compare it to Chuba Hubbard, and Chuba really has sprinter speed, but he only ran a 4.5 flat. That's going to cost him on draft day. But again, it's not about the underwear Olympics. It's not about what you run in your 40. It's about what's on the tape. And I dare anybody to look at Elijah Mitchell, his tape, and compare it to Chuba Hubbard, the acceleration that Hubbard has, the breakaway speed, not getting caught from behind. I'm not saying Mitchell's not fast, but the 4.33 doesn't show up on the football field for Mitchell. I think he's a good player. And if these guys are gone, if Khalil Herbert's gone on day 3, if Chuba Hubbard's gone on day 3, and they're sitting there in the 6th round and they want to take a running back, I think Elijah Mitchell would be a pretty good player.
But who can return kicks? And that's something that we've got a lot of questions on in the chat, Scott. They tried with Calais last year, and he actually ended up, I think he signed with the Rams after the Buccaneers cut him.
They did, yeah.
And he had a pretty good, he was a pretty good returner for them. But they've who's going to return kicks? TJ Logan's not going to be back, right? I mean, TJ Logan was,
right.
He was kind of that safe guy. The Buccaneers, since going back all the way to the days of John Gruden, and we got to go back to Carl the Truth Williams, when they had a dynamic guy that you really thought at any point could take one back to the house. It's been, catch the ball, fair catch it, get us a couple yards, don't fumble, right? And I can't believe I can't remember the Florida State kid they cut after that Carolina game in London. How do I not remember? Bobo Wilson. They thought maybe they had, he would be kind of that guy, but he couldn't hold on to the football. And so they've kind of just settled. And again, the kick return has been, taken away, especially on kickoffs with the rules and everything, which makes sense for player safety.
Well, there's just so many touchbacks that they're really the kickoff return position. Like you said,
but Scott,
but
look at what the Falcons did though by signing Cordell Patterson for $2.5 million. To me, if I were the Buccaneers, I would have, because here's a guy that had no problem taking it back. It was 8 yards deep. I mean, if it didn't go through the end zone, he was going to return it, and he could be a game-changing guy. You can still be. There are still punt returners. They can flip the field, and the Buccaneers haven't had a guy do that, and I don't know how long. Adam Humphries had that tremendous kick return on a missed field goal in the preseason 3 years ago.
Well, Mark, I got the guy for you. He's not a running back.
Okay.
I got the guy for you. Okay. He's going to be one of our Bucs' best bets. Avery Williams from Boise State. He's a cornerback. He is the special teams guy of all guys. All right. I'm going to tell you about him. This is a player, and we'll talk more about him next week as we do our previews for the defensive backs. But this is a player that had six career punt returns for touchdowns. Punt returns for touchdowns. Wow. Yes, at Boise State. Not just that, he also had 3 kick returns for touchdowns. So this is the special teams guy, and he's 5'9". He's not a bad cornerback, but he is not a prototype cornerback that say Todd Bowles is going to be looking for and wants, right? Because the Bucs like those 6 foot and taller cornerbacks. But you know what? You're not getting this guy to play defense really. Maybe he can carve out a little role as a slot guy to help you out in a pinch. But really what you're looking for is you're looking for the replacement for Ryan Smith.
Yeah.
That's who you're looking to replace. You're looking to replace Ryan Smith. And the thing about Avery Williams is he is a player that can not only return kicks and punts, can also block them. Okay. He was the special teams most valuable player in 2019 and in 2020 in his conference. He had a blocked extra point. He had a blocked punt. He had 2 punt returns for touchdowns in 2019. One of those was on a blocked punt. Then he also blocked 2 punts the next year, and he had 2 kickoff returns for touchdowns. He's also blocked a field goal. So this guy has had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 blocked kicks and a collective 9 special teams return touchdowns between punt and kick. Oh,
sign him up now. Draft him. I don't even care if he's got in the 4th round.
He's got 4 career interceptions on defense, and he's got 5 forced fumbles, 22 pass breakups, and a fumble recovery. So he's not a bad defensive back either.
Yeah.
5'9", 195. Actually, let me get some updated size on him here. 5'8", 187 is officially what he checked in at. But he's got 4.4 speed. So there's your return guy right there, Mark. If the Bucs are interested in special teams guys, as Richard Taroka asks, who's going to be our next Clifton Smith? That's the guy. I
just don't know that they are. I mean, I think they've always felt like, okay, if we luck into a guy and he happens to be better or above average, that's good. But let's just catch the football and wave our arms when it goes over our head in the end zone, take the ball at 25. I just miss the days of the special teams. Love
I do too, man.
The Devin Hesters of the world.
Oh yeah,
and things like that, man. When you got the Deion Sanders when he went back for a kick.
Carl the Truth Williams,
yes,
here in Tampa.
Yes. You and I were on the sideline of the game. I can't remember who they were playing. I think it was Carolina. I don't know.
Yeah,
but he had a punt return for a touchdown late in the 4th quarter.
Actually, it was a touchdown catch from Dilfer.
That's right.
But literally we saw 5 feet away from him.
I think I ran because I thought we were going to get ran over because it was towards the corner of the end zone.
Yeah.
But I mean, we saw him return kicks and he was the 2nd guy to return a punt for a touchdown in history. Right. Vernon Turner was first, I believe, in '92,
yep.
and then Carl Williams. But he had more than one certainly, and you just it wasn't just an afterthought. It just wasn't okay. Well, I'm going to go to the restroom now because the Buccaneers are going to receive the punt here, and there's going to be a TV timeout. You sat in your seat or you sat in front of the TV to make sure to see what was going to happen. And I missed that part of football.
We're going to talk to this guy about that tomorrow night because we're going to have Scotty Miller on live at the Mill. We have a special show Wednesday night from 7 to 8 p.m. So different time. If you tune in at 4 o'clock, you're 3 hours early tomorrow. It's going to be from 7 to 8 live at the Mill in South Tampa. We're going to have a Pewter Report exclusive partner event for our advertising sponsors. Celsius will be there, and so will Scotty Miller. He'll be there live on camera answering our questions, and we'll talk special teams because I remember asking him last year. He really wanted to be the kick return guy and the punt guy. So we'll find out if maybe that's in the offering this year with the Bucs not really having a preseason. He didn't get the opportunity to really go out there outside of a couple of practices to prove he can do it and do it well. So that's one of the things we'll ask Scotty Miller tomorrow. So make sure that you tune in 7 to 8 Eastern time tomorrow. Scotty Miller, Bucs Super Bowl champion wide receiver, will be joining us.
Scott, I've got some nose hairs that have been bothering me really bad lately. I wish
Oh, really?
I don't know. Should I pluck them on them?
No, you do not want to pluck them. No, you don't. but I might have a solution for you, Mark.
You'll pluck them?
Well, no, I'm not going to do it, but I'm going to tell you how you can get that done. Okay?
Oh, okay.
Listen, it's draft time. With the first pick of the 2021 men's grooming draft, the Ball Saxonville Sagwires select Manscaped as the leaders in below-the-waist grooming. Looks like Mel Kiper gave his A+ grade because this pick is a major upgrade for that Bush defense. For all of the NFL draft fans out there, we've got an exclusive 20% off promo code. That's pewter at manscaped.com. The reason why Manscaped is the guaranteed #1 pick is because of the performance package. This is a package I've got, John's got, Grizz, Matt, Mark have. Manscaped has given us this package, the performance package, to use. So when we talk about it, we talk about it with conviction because we've actually used it. This package is the ultimate men's hygiene bundle. Inside the performance package, and I'm going to tell you how to get it in a second, you'll find products and liquid formulations that have been developed to turn your bathroom into a salon for your balls. This package also includes the Weed Whacker. This is what Mark really needs and what I use. This is the Weed Whacker nose and ear hair trimmer. I can confidently say this is the best tool on the market for nose and ear hair. It gets the job done, and it doesn't hurt one single bit.
Doesn't hurt. That's the main thing.
It doesn't.
The tweezers make your eyes water. This does not make your eyes water.
It doesn't. It's fantastic. You'll never use tweezers again. Imagine showing up to your post-quarantine date with some nose pubes popping out. Not the best look, fellas. The performance package comes with the performance boxer briefs in a travel bag that they call the shed that you're going to use when you're done quarantining. It's this right here. And some other formulations, such as the Crop Preserver and the Crop Reviver. Now, the Crop Preserver, this is the anti-chafing ball deodorant that ensures that your balls will smell amazing. And
mine do.
The lady or the ladies in your life are going to love it. The Crop Reviver, this is the spray-on toner for your balls. Yep, you heard it right. It's made with soothing aloe and witch hazel extracts that'll make your balls feel like Brady after a little avocado tequila.
Little tingle.
For a limited time, buyers of the performance package receive not one, but 2 free gifts. They get the Shed travel bag, which is a $39 value. This is a quality bag too, by the way. And the patented high-performance anti-chafing men's boxer briefs. And I'm going to throw in something special just for you guys too.
Whoa.
Support the show and get 20% off plus free shipping with the promo code pewter at manscaped.com. They've got a ton of other men's hygiene products. Go to their website, manscaped.com, for the disposable mats for your pubes to foot deodorant. They get everything. Get 20% off plus free shipping. Use the promo code pewter at manscaped.com. Listen, Father's Day is going to be here before you know it. We're literally about 2 months away.
We are not giving our fathers. Are we really going to give our dads crop preservers?
Well, maybe.
Let's say the wife gives it to the husband or the girlfriend gives it to the boyfriend.
There you go. That's what I'm talking about.
Okay.
So 20% off plus free shipping at manscaped.com. Use the promo code pewter. It's time to upgrade your defense with Manscaped. And of course, we do have some of these left. We're running out though, but we do have the PureReport.com t-shirts, white, black, and gray. If you want one of those, all you have to do is place your order at manscaped.com. Then email me your purchase, proof of purchase. Doesn't have any of your credit card information on it. Don't want it, but it does have your address, which I need to send you your free Pewter Report shirt. So show us some love and show Manscaped some love, and they're going to give you some clean balls in return.
My son, who's 20, when he visited recently, found my stash of Manscaped products, and he confiscated quite a few of them. Luckily, he did ask me about the which one is the lawnmower. Yeah, he's like, have you used this lawnmower? I was like, yeah. He's like, yeah, I don't want that. No, I'm not gonna. Yeah,
he didn't want to share the lawnmower. Yeah.
No, but he did actually put that on his Christmas list last year, and I think he got one.
It makes a great gift.
I don't want to know these things about my son. I certainly don't want to know about my dad. But you know what? What the hell? Father's Day is coming up, Dad. I've known you for 50 years. I've been meaning to say this for 50 years. You know, you got to groom
Mark,
a little bit, dude.
Mark,
it's not the 70s anymore.
Yeah, not that you want to see the finished product, right? You don't. That's
no
his
before
business.
and after pictures, Dad. No before and after pictures.
That's
but if
his
mom's
business.
got a little bit of an extra twinkle in her eye the next time you see him, you know it worked.
Listen, if mom comes up and pats you on the back and says, you know, that's my boy, right?
Oh, I need a shower now.
That's her way of thanking you for hooking dad up with the Manscaped. So,
what did you call them? The Saxonville sack wires?
Sag wires. Yes, that's what the read said. I'm just following orders, Mark. That's all this.
Okay, very good. Sure, Urban Meyer's happy to hear that.
Exactly. So again, we've got just tomorrow. Just to recap, we're going to be live from 7 to 8. So make sure you check that out, and that's going to be at the Mill in South Tampa. Then we're going to be back on Thursday. John and I are going to be back on Thursday.
Just to let people know again, it's the event is kind of a private event this time.
Correct.
But I just want to let everybody know we will be doing a kickoff event where everyone will be invited before training camp kicks off at the Mill. If you haven't been to the Mill in South Tampa, great place, excellent brunch, voted the best brunch in the Tampa area the last couple of years. They have a location in St. Pete as well. Wide open spaces. We're going to be outside tomorrow, socially distanced, those kind of things. But we're going to have a big get together and a big bash for everybody that listens, that's in the area, that wants to come out soon. But check out the Mill if you get a chance. They've been a sponsor, and DeMar Dotson is a part owner of the Mill, so you can support a former Buccaneer as well by patronizing the Mill. So, but don't show up with 30 people tomorrow. I mean, if you want to go have dinner, that's fine. But the event's a little bit of a private thing. But we will have a public event very soon at the Mill for sure.
The cool thing is you can watch Scotty live on the Pewter Report podcast, and that's the way to check that out. And listen, too, if you are interested, we would love to have you join our over 4,000 people that have subscribed to us on YouTube. So
4,000 just yesterday, it seems like we were trying to get to 500, Scott.
I know.
Then we got to 1,000, and now we're over 4,000. That's amazing.
Exactly. So subscribe to our YouTube page, Pewter Report TV. It's free. There's no cost for the subscription. Just click the button, and then when you do, also hit that notifications button. When we go live, you'll get notifications about that as well. Make sure you follow us on social too. If you're not Pewter Report, you can find us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. And Mark, the other thing too that's kind of cool, and we've got some awesome sponsors, and one of which is the sponsor of the Bucs Monday mailbag, and that is Symbol. And if you don't know about Symbol yet, let me tell you. Symbol is the stock market for sports that allows you to trade sports teams like stocks and earn cash payouts when your team wins. Symbol has blended sports and the stock market to offer you a new way to invest in and profit off of your favorite teams. Use your sports knowledge to buy low, sell high, earn cash payouts when your team wins. Join the over 2,500 early adopters, including myself, who have started to invest in their favorite teams. The stock market for sports is just a tap away. Create a free account in seconds to start profiting from your sports knowledge. Go to www.symbol.app/Pewter Report. They're going to give you a $10 deposit bonus when you use that promo code. The Bucs franchise value this week is $43. So very cool.
Surprised it didn't go up with the Bernard and the Griffin signing. I really thought we would see
that was today's price. Jump. Maybe those moves will be reflected tomorrow.
Buy early because we know after the draft, this football team that's loaded is going to be even better. So you want to buy now.
Exactly. So speaking of loaded, tomorrow's show is going to be loaded with wide receiver Scotty Miller, myself, Mark Cook, and John Ledyard will be out at the Mill talking to Scotty about his plans for the offseason and also his thoughts on the upcoming season, as well as reviewing how cool it was to make that awesome catch against Green Bay in the NFC Championship game. So,
you mean this catch here, Scott?
That catch there, yes, exactly. So
another one of our great sponsors. We'll talk about that tomorrow. Yep,
no doubt about it. Well, Mark, it's been a fun time talking running backs with you. I think they're still going to draft one. We'll have to see where that is and who it's going to be, but we're going to find out.
Najee, that's my running back crush.
The fun thing. Yeah, I'm all for it too. I like any of those running backs, even the Bucs best bet guys as well, Michael Carter and Chuba Hubbard. We have wide receivers preview coming up tomorrow on PewterReport.com. Make sure you check that out. And again, tomorrow night, 7 to 8, Scotty Miller joins the Pewter Report podcast. So for Mark Cook, I'm Scott Reynolds. Thanks for tuning into the latest edition of the Pewter Report podcast. Out.